Hello again. We are the Fantasy Sultans. He's the Hall of Famer Mike Sheck. I'm Tripp Rogers. Week 3 in the NFL. The implosion that has been fantasy teams all over with injuries. However, the Hall of Famer, 2-0 in the Fantasy Sultans League, ladies and gentlemen. 2-0, my friend. You're doing it. You're making it happen.
I am doing it. That's right. But some other teams, well, they're not doing it. Some of them are not getting it done. They're 0-2. Others are just like you mentioned. They're getting hit by the injury bug, and a lot of big injuries to talk about. I think one of the bigger ones, obviously affecting the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco. He's out 6 to 8 weeks with a leg injury. We talked about Puka Nacua for the Rams last week. Well, now Cooper Kupp is dealing with an ankle injury. Philadelphia wide receiver A.J. Brown likely to miss a few games with a hamstring injury. You've got Justin Jefferson with a quad injury. San Francisco wide receiver Deebo Samuel is going to be out a couple weeks due to a calf injury. So a lot of injuries are piling up. And we haven't even talked about Tua, which happened on Thursday night last week.
That was, I think that you mentioned all the injuries, and I think that would lead to the next point that we want to make.
Yeah.
The injuries, I think, that really are going to affect fantasy. And there are two spots I'm looking at. Number one, Miami. And you saw it last week. Miami is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They play a weak team, they can kill them. And then they play a good team and they falter. I mean, Buffalo just laid a hurting on them. And the problem with the Tua injury is I think the way the Miami offense is built, I mean, Tyreek Hill, Etienne, Jalen Waddle, this is going to be a tough injury for them to overcome. And it affects other people. Do I say you put Tyreek Hill on your bench? No, not really, because he's still Tyreek Hill. But I don't have a lot of confidence in Skylar Thompson. Tua, of course, has been put on IR. It means he's missing a minimum of 4 games. So he is going to be out now for a while, and they're going to ride the Skylar Thompson train. The other injury, which I think really we have to talk about from a fantasy perspective, is Cooper Kupp's injury with the Rams. When Puka and we had talked about this preseason, wasn't loving Puka Nacua because of the fact he was injured. And then in week 1, he comes up lame in the first half, goes on IR for 4 weeks, and you're saying, Cooper Kupp looking good. This is Cooper Kupp. This is going to be his year. And Cooper Kupp now in a walking boot. Now, Cooper Kupp has not been put on IR at the time we tape this. So, record this, I should say. Tape is no longer used because it's all electronic. Anyhow, I digress. Korea, 100 years ago. MASH, 1972. I think the Rams offense is going to be affected too. And you saw this. Stafford did not have great numbers Sunday. I don't think their wide receiving core is that great. I mean, Demarcus Robinson is okay, but I think Cooper Kupp takes something out of that offense. I mean, Kyron Williams is still there if they can feed him the ball. But I think those are the two teams that are really affected. And you've got to think about that if you have other players on your roster from them, because that's going to affect you. I just think that, like I said, that's my thought. Your thoughts, Hall of Famer, because you're the Hall of Famer and you're 2-0, and I am 1-1. So I got no room to talk, buddy.
What about a surprise? I'm 2-0. How about a surprising 2-0 team in the NFC? The New Orleans Saints, man, are they getting it done here? I mean, we saw Saquon Barkley last week pull off a hat trick, 3 touchdowns, and a dominant performance. Now you've got another dominant performance. Another player pulling off a hat trick. Oh, yeah, Alvin Kamara. He is getting it done. The Saints now have scored 91 points in 2 games. I don't think anybody had the Saints on a betting match there to be a team that would be coming out of the gate this strong. I mean, they are just getting it done. And Derek Carr, I had him on a list as a quarterback who you may not want to draft, but I may have gotten that one wrong just because of the way the Saints are. I mean, we've seen the history of Derek Carr, but everything is coming up to the Saints so far.
Clint Kubiak's offense is just dynamite. And if you had Alvin Kamara, you won your game. If you did not win your game with Alvin Kamara last week, you're pretty bad. You really are. And it reminded me, remember the Christmas Day game when he went off and scored 3 or 4 touchdowns and had like over 200 yards. It was just, and I remember that because I was in a championship at that point, and Kamara basically won me the championship because I was rather average the next week. It was a 2-week game, but Kamara's performances did it, and he did it again this week. But I guess that's a great way to lead into our import-export segment because we're import-exporters. We go both ways. And I think Derek Carr is somebody I'm going to look to add as an import as quarterback, and he is available. Now, I don't think he's available in as many leagues as he was last week because people, I think, grabbed him, especially if you have a quarterback that's not performing. But, you've got maybe a Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. You got some of those guys. You may want to think about picking up Derek Carr and maybe using him as a spot starter. I'm not saying, but Derek Carr is good. Is New Orleans going to score 40-plus points each week? No, probably not. But, they got a good chance to get make some hay. So Derek Carr's a guy who I would grab. The Kansas City offense went through Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco now gone for 6 weeks. So this is an offense. And people, you like to get a piece of this offense. You really do. Carson Steele looks to be the guy who is going to replace Pacheco, at least in the interim, or he'll get the first shot. He's a rookie. Grab him. Also, if you do have Isaiah Pacheco, he'd be a great handcuff for you because he's the guy who basically came in after Pacheco is injured. Now, the thing about this Kansas City offense is it's going to be a multi-headed monster because Samjay Perine is still there, and he is he's going to be used in the passing situation, and they just signed Kareem Hunt to rejoin the team. Remember, they had cut him after a hotel video he got for a fight he got into with a woman, domestic violence. But he's back with Kansas City. You don't know how much he's got left in the tank, but he did pretty well for Cleveland last year, and he could find his way in here. But if you need a running back and you're looking for a replacement for Isaiah Pacheco, Carson Steele is a guy you can grab. Another one I want to talk about, we talked about the Rams offense, and I said that they were affected by the Cooper Kupp injury. Well, they got to throw the ball to somebody. And DeMarcus Robinson has not shown me anything, but if you're looking for a wide receiver, you might want to pick up Tyler Johnson from the Rams. He's their number 2 receiver right now, and I think he's a guy who could surprise. Again, he won't draw most of the coverage because I think Robinson will, but as a number 2 option, he is really not that bad. Got a couple exports for you here on week number 3. First of all, Jeff Wilson from Miami. Wilson's been given every opportunity in Miami to do something, and he basically has done nada. If you have him on your roster, get rid of him. Don't need him. He's an export. And the other export has been very disappointing out in Los Angeles at the Chargers. Joshua Palmer, everybody talked about him. Oh, he's going to be great. He's going to be great. He's had a lot of injuries. He's done nothing. I think it's time to cut him. And I put him down as an export here in week number 3 with the Fantasy Sultans. Now the Hall of Famer will enlighten us with his imports. 2-0 Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer
Yeah, that's right. And I'm going for 4-0 with all the imports this week. All imports for me. New York Jets running back Braylon Allen. Now, he had 7 rushes for 33 yards and a touchdown. Also had 2 receptions for 23 and a touchdown, becoming the youngest player to score 2 scrimmage touchdowns in an NFL game. You know what? He can't drink, but somebody buy this guy a Shirley Temple. He got the job done last week. This is something to watch over the next couple weeks as the Jets might be forming a tandem at running back with Brees Hall and Braylon Allen. Now, of course, this week you're coming back with a short week, so Jets play on Thursday night, so a tough pickup, but you could still pick him up for the future. If you don't get him for Thursday night, you pick him up for the future, and he would be a nice start. See how it plays out in the Jets offense. All right, we'll go to wide receiver Quentin Johnson for the Los Angeles Chargers. 5 receptions, 51 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Carolina last week. Now, much of the Chargers' success has been on the ground, not through the air with Justin Herbert. But at some point, I think Los Angeles is going to have to turn to the pass. Johnston led the league in both targets and yards, which is encouraging. Johnston would be definitely worth an ad here. All right, you're looking for a quarterback? I'm going to give you one. Sam Darnold in Minnesota. He's moved around the NFL over his young career, 3 different teams. Finally, he's now in Minnesota. And you know what? Something helped him last year. Yeah, it was the pressure-free season that he had, also working with Kyle Shanahan. So I think that's kind of elevated his game a bit. Let's not forget about the quarterback whisperer, Kevin O'Connell. He is definitely getting Minnesota rolling. Minnesota, another surprising team here, too. I don't think we had them on the card to come out this strong either. Definitely a play that you can make for either a spot start, and I would definitely take a look at the Justin Jefferson situation because, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there with that quad injury. But either way, I think Sam Darnold is a good pickup. Finally, how about a defense you want to grab? The Las Vegas Raiders. Now, unless you're the Saints, they're the only team that's really high-powered offense so far this year. Barely any scoring with the Panthers, who they face this week, the Raiders. They're going to make a change at quarterback. Bryce Young is out, and now Andy Dalton is in. So I'm going to be intrigued to see what happens there with the Panthers offense. Maybe they can get a little spark going, but either way, Raiders, they're going to have some favorable matchups in the future. So definitely something to pick up. They do play Cleveland and Denver down the line. So, yeah, I would definitely look at the Raiders as a pickup.
I just have to say something. Both of our football teams, if you look at the power rankings, are last and next to last. I just want to mention that real quick, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, I'm going to give you the order because the Giants are next to last, but yeah.
Have you given that one away?
yeah, I gave that one away. Just a reminder that the Fantasy Sultans are also on the radio Sunday. We'll lead you into your Sunday afternoon football. We're on at high noon. Mike, tell us where to find us.
Yeah, you can get us on Fox Sports Radio New Jersey and Fox Sports Radio Jersey Shore, 93.5 FM, 1450 AM in Central Jersey. And, of course, down the Jersey Shore on 100.1 HD3 and 95.9 HD3.
You got to love it, baby. You got to love it. The Sultans are taking over. We are taking over the world. We're going to lead you to championships. By the way, I guess I should mention our one listener, Mac, is 2-0 also.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
He's learning from the experts. He's learning. Again, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us fantasysultans@gmail.com. Also, remember, I have a podcast called Tripp's Take. You can find it the same spots you find this podcast. Again, it's on Spotify for podcasters and YouTube. Just search for Tripp's Take. Like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you got to listen to WTRSradio.com. You know, we are here for you every week. It's week 3 of the NFL season. Yeah, you might be 0-2, but listen, we will give you the tips. We'll give you the info you need. We'll give you those surprise stashes. We'll tell you when to export. We'll guide you to a championship. We are the Fantasy Sultans.
And you are not.